Hello and welcome to the Truth Booth. Welcome to Ask Me Tuesday, where I am going to be answering questions that you have written into me. If you're wondering how that works, you can message me or you can comment on any of my videos and ask a question that you would like me to answer. And so most of these are coming from people who are messaging me because I think they want to be anonymous. So I take these questions and write them out on pieces of paper and put them into a pot and just draw them out randomly and answer each one as I can. So let's go to this week. I'm going to reach in this pot and I'm going to draw out a question. And let's see what it says. I'm confused. What does the Bible say about judging? You did a video on how to confront. Should we be confronting? Is that judging? Okay. That subject of judging, I think, is one that none of us really like to talk about, because when we really get into what the Bible says, the Bible doesn't give us a whole lot to think about others judging us. It gives us a lot to think about when it comes to us judging others. And I would have to say this has been a battle of my life, is not to set myself up as judge, not to practice a judgmental attitude on other people. I think you're referring to a verse in Matthew that tells us not to judge, but let's just look at that for just a minute. In Matthew 7, verse 1, it says, Jesus is saying, "Judge not, that you be not judged. For with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged. And the measure you use, it will be measured to you." That's what I think you're talking about. And that is a really strong directive, straight from the mouth of Jesus to us, not to judge. But I think what gets misunderstood is thinking that we should never ever be judging anybody else. We shouldn't be judging their motives. We shouldn't be judging anything. Well, that can't be true, because we're also told to look at the fruit that comes from people. We're asked to look to really judge the fruit of leaders before we invite them to be a leader in the church. So it can't really mean what I think sometimes we want it to mean. I think what Jesus is pointing out here, as he does so well, is that our business shouldn't be out here trying to judge the world, trying to judge everybody else. Really, what we need to be concerned with is how we're going to be judged. And that's what this is talking about, how we're going to be judged. The same way that we judge others is the way we are going to be judged. That is a very sobering and scary thought. And that is what keeps me my whole life working on this thing in me that wants to judge, because it isn't just wanting to judge. It's wanting to judge harshly. It's wanting to judge as somebody that knows better, as somebody that is better, to judge with self-righteousness. That's what we slip into. But it can't possibly mean we're never supposed to speak into each other's lives. Why? Because we have to read the rest of it. Right after that it says, "Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, 'Let me take the speck out of your eye,' when there is a log in your own eye? You hypocrite. First, take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye." So we have to read the word in context. So even just right here alongside that verse that we love to quote, usually when someone's judging me, that's when we like to quote that, isn't it? Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Well, this is saying that we better enter this area of judging with a lot of thought and prayer, and very carefully, because the same way that we judge, we are going to be judged. That's very sobering. So then he talks about, before you hypocrite, before you go and judge someone else and try to remove this little speck from their eye, look at the big log in your own. Okay, a lot of times that big log is the self-righteousness that makes us want to set ourselves up as judge and go tell somebody else what they're doing wrong, and not looking into our own heart and not being open to being judged right here in my own heart. So I stand by what I said in that video, because when we were talking about how to confront in a biblical manner, I was saying it is serious business, and you have better have spent a lot of time in prayer, a lot of time examining your own heart, and a lot of time in love and just bathed in love before you ever go to pick that speck out of somebody else's eye. You better be sure that you're letting God judge your own heart. So we don't want to set ourselves up as judge. And yet the word tells us that we are to go to one another in love. Later on in Matthew, in chapter 18, in verse 15, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother. But if he does not listen, take one or two others along with you, that every charge may be established by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. Then it goes on to give further instruction about what to do if this brother or sister doesn't listen to you. But I think the point here is that our goal in any kind of confrontation, in any kind of judgment, would be reconciliation, leading somebody to Christ. It isn't to make myself look better. It isn't so that everybody sees my side of the story. That's what we have to get away from, friends, is that. So the Bible has some very strong words about judgment, and we had better listen. It is very sobering to keep telling ourselves, I am going to be judged by the way I judge others. I don't know how that all pans out, but that's what Jesus said, and I think he knows, right? I think the goal of our life should be that God purges us of this self-righteousness that causes us to want to judge others, not in a way that is restorative, not in a way that is leading somebody to the cross, not in a way that is leading people to the love of Jesus, but that thing in us that just wants to set ourselves above as judge. There is one judge, and it says that he's going to judge me the way that I judge others. Therefore, I want to come to that place of having to confront or judge something that's going on with 1 Corinthians chapter 13, taking a bath in that, and to move slowly and cautiously and lovingly forward. The Bible doesn't say don't judge and then that's it, period. It says don't judge like this. And then it gives us this beautiful picture of how to go to somebody in love, and that we have to examine our own heart first. We have to get that log out of there first before we are ever capable of going in love to somebody for the right motives. So let's be cautious about judging, and let's make sure that we're spending so much time daily, taking the log out of our own eye. See you next time.